Hello everybody, my name is Colin3639. Welcome back to another video. Today in this one is going to be another deck profile video, and in this one it's going to be on my Swordsoul Tenyi deck. Yeah, very interesting deck. A lot of people have been hyping up Swordsoul in this format because it's a very good deck, and honestly it very much is. I very much like this deck, but I only like this deck with the Tenyi version of the deck. I feel like the Tenyi just give you so much options with the Swordsoul stuff that makes this deck worth more while than something like the pure version of the deck. Like the pure version is very nice. You can play like the Fusion Destiny and still play a shit ton of hand traps and stuff like that. But the Tenyi version of the deck is just gives you a lot more options going into your first, or if you're going second turn to play as well. Very, very good deck. So this will be my deck profile on it. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Starting off with just some hand traps, we're playing Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring in the main deck. Same thing with Nibiru the Primal Being. Maybe a little bit interesting to some people. I like playing Nibiru in the main deck because it's just a powerhouse of a card. It's not good in every matchup, which kind of sucks. So maybe you want to play something like Valor, you know, a card that would always be active in a matchup. But Nibiru is just that much of a powerhouse of a card that I think worth main decking right now. And then if you verse a deck that doesn't really play into it, you can go into the side deck, take it out and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm playing 3 Nibiru in the main deck. Now on to the actual Swordsoul card. We're playing Swordsoul of Moye at 3. Very, very good card. Your main starter in the entire deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you can reveal one Swordsoul monster or worm monster from your hand to special summon a token that ends up being a tuner on board. You can't do anything from the extra deck with that token except for synchro summoning, which is fine because you're just doing a shit ton of synchro summoning in this deck. Anyways, very good getting into your straight level 8 plays and stuff like that. And also, if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can end up drawing a card as well. Helps you chain block with something like the Swordsoul Grandmaster here, which is very, very nice. Very good starter for the deck. We're playing Swordsoul Strategist Longwan at 3. Again, just another very, very good card. You can discard one other Swordsoul card or worm monster, special summon this card, plus the token as well. Then while this token, while the token's on the field, you can't use anything except synchro summoning. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can inflict 1200 damage to your opponent. Again, just a very, very nice card. Gets you into synchro 10 plays straight away, so you can pull out something like the Baroness de Fleur, or you can pull out the Swordsoul synchro 10 as well. Then just having that in-time mechanism to inflict 1200 damage to your opponent is also very nice. Helps you OTK easier as well because it does inflict that damage to the opponent. We are playing 3 Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous. A lot of people might not be playing this at 3, but I feel like this card is so good, especially if you go second, that it's just worth playing. If you don't know what it does, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. Yes, it could just special summon, which is absolutely amazing. And then you can tribute this card during the main phase, tribute this card, a quick effect, and then special summon a Fallen Avids or Swordsoul monster from your hand or deck, which is very, very nice. And during the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, add this card back from your hand. We're not playing fusion, so that's not really going to come up. That's only going to come up if you play it with like Fallen of Albaz or something like that. But with the Swordsoul deck, you're just pulling it out to, get a Swordsoul out and not having to waste your normal summon straight away. So very, very good card. And then for the last Swordsoul card, we're playing 2 Swordsoul of the Taya. Again, don't want to really max out on this because you need to have graveyard set up for it to happen, which isn't hard in this deck, but you just want to either Moye or Longwan over this. You'd want this later in the game if you really have to. But its effect is banish 1 Swordsoul card or worm monster from your graveyard. Special summon 1 Swordsoul token. That does not happen on the summon, so you have to summon it. If your opponent has no responses, then you can activate it, which is unfortunate, but it's fine because then you can do it if it stays on field. You can do it multiple turns and stuff like that. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can send 1 Swordsoul or worm monster from your deck to the graveyard. A Foolish Burial, very nice in this deck, especially when you're playing the Tenyi version of the deck as well. Very, very good. We're only playing it at 2 because you do want to see either Moye or Longwan to start you off, not the Taya, because you do need the graveyard setup. Now on to the tennies here. We're playing a Tenny Spirit Ashuna at 3, which is very, very interesting. And maybe a lot of people might play this at 2 and play like Frustruda at 3. But I want to play Ashuna at 3 because this is at least your special summon from deck. That's the reason why I like this card so much. It's, if you control no effect monster, if you don't know, you can spell summon this card from your hand. And then if this card's in your graveyard while you control a non-effect monster, you can banish it to special summon a Tenyi from deck. But it does lock you into worms. It's one of the few cards in the deck that does lock you into the worms. But I feel like it is worth it to get locked into worms just for its effect to go through, because you can keep just synchro summoning from there with the Tenyis and stuff like that. Very, very, very good card just to have at 3. And then we're playing 2 Fashuda. Again, a lot of people might play this at 3 because it's a very, very good card. Very, very, very good card because it, again, has the same top effect as mostly all the Tenyis. You control no effect monsters. Special summon this card from your hand. But you can banish this card from your graveyard if you control a non-effect monster on board to target one card your opponent controls and return it to hand. That's why a lot of people might be playing this at 3, is because that effect alone is very, very good. I feel like at 2, it's fine because you'd rather have the Ashuna to, you know, help you combo off, and then maybe Ashuna pull for Struda from deck to just do that play from you. And you also Foolish Burial it from like Swordsoul Taya as well. It's still a very good card. I can see why people want to play it at 3, but I'm playing it at 2 just for now. And then the last Tenyi here is Adhara. This might be a little familiar to people who maybe played in the Adamantipator format and stuff like that. But we're playing it as just, again, just being a tuner and helping you combo with the Tenyis. Again, control no effect monsters. You can just special summon this card from your hand. And if you control a non-effect monster while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish it to add one of your worm monsters from your banished area back to your hand. That's very much generic. So if you have something like, you know, the Moye or the Long One in your banished area, you can do Adhara just to add back to hand. The fact that it doesn't specify Tenyi is very, very nice. That's that bottom effect is very nice to keep, just to have more stuff to add back to your hand. But you can add a Tenyi off it as well, because the Tenyis are worms as well. But that is it for the entire main deck. Now let's get into the spells and traps. We are playing 3 Swordsoul Emergence, basically the Rhoda for the deck. You can add a Swordsoul monster from your deck to your hand, or if you control a synchro monster, you can add a worm monster instead. And then if this card is banished, you can target one of your Swordsoul monsters or worm monsters and increase it or decrease its level by 1. That's only when it's banished, but that's fine because it can help you chain block into some stuff. Very, very good card. You're mostly using it for the Rhoda, but that level decrease or increase can come up, so do remember that you do have that in your graveyard. But yeah, playing 3 of this without a doubt. We're playing 3 Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. Very fucking ridiculous card. So basically, its effect is you can send one worm monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then if you control a non-effect monster on the field, you can add one Tenyi monster from your deck to your hand, which is not that hard because, again, the tokens that the Swordsoul pull out, that's technically a non-effect monster, so you can activate Dragon of the Vessel cycle once you have a token on board. You also have the Link 1 Tenyi in the extra deck to also pull this out as well. Again, you can pull something like the Ashuna, and then adding Adhara, summon Adhara, Ashuna effect, banish itself to summon out Vishuddha, and then it's just go into a Synchro 8 to make just more plays to go and go. A very, very good card, but playing that at 3 without a doubt. Very good. Then 3 Pot of Desires. I feel like Desires is very good. It might be a little risky with Vishuddha and Adhara at 3, but I don't want to be playing like Prosperity or something. I think Desires is perfectly fine in this deck, so we are playing Desires. And then just the one of the Monster Reborn Swordsoul Sacred Summit. Again, just target a Swordsoul monster in your graveyard, or if you control a Synchro monster, target one more monster instead to spell summon it. And then it has the same bottom effect as the Rhoda, where if it gets banished, you can target one more monster to increase or decrease that card's level. We're just playing as a 1-of because it is searchable. I feel like the Rhoda is better to have than the Monster Reborn is, but it does come up very much. But again, it is also searchable with the Grandmaster and stuff like that. So just playing it at 1-of. And then for the traps, we're playing 3 Infinite Impermanence just as more hand traps in the deck. And then 3 Swordsoul Blackout, which might be a little much. Maybe people play this at 2 or 1. I think at 3, it's fine. Just drawing it in hand just helps you not have to search it later on in your place. And this card is basically very good. Target a worm monster you control and 2 other cards your opponent controls. Destroy them. Very, very, very good card there. And that is it for the entire main deck. Now let's get into the extra deck. Starting with the Synchro 7s here, where the only one we're playing is Yazi, Evil the Yang Zine. Again, doesn't really come up because you have to banish one of your spells to get its effect or to go into it, because it is a 7. Mostly you're trying to make 8. If you're going to go into a 7, you have to reduce one of your level 4 tuners into a 3 and then go into a 7. So very rarely comes up, but it does have a good effect we can use. If your opponent you cannot target this card with card effects on board, then you can target one Yang Zine monster you control and one card your opponent controls. Destroy them, and then when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can spell summon one worm monster from your deck in defense position. Again, just a pop on board and then an extender on top of it as well is also very nice. That's why we're playing it. We're only playing it at 1, but we are playing it without a doubt. We are playing 2 Swordsoul Grandmaster. Not even going to try to pronounce that last name because fuck that. But yes, playing this is the Swordsoul Synchro 8, which is very ridiculous. One requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner worm monster to go enter. And then if this card is Synchro Summon, add to your hand or banish 1 Swordsoul monster from your deck. Then you can get a chain block with something like the Moye if you use Moye's effect to go into it. And then quick effect, you can banish this 1 Swordsoul card or 1 worm monster from your graveyard, hand or graveyard, and then target 1 other effective monster on the field, negate its effects. Basically just an infinite impermanence on a monster. So very, very, very good. And that Banshee can also play into its Synchro 10 if you end up pulling out the Swordsoul Synchro 10 as well. So it's a search plus a negation, which is very, very nice. We're playing 2 of it. We're playing 2 Baxia. A lot of people might just play this at 1. I like playing this at 2 because you can also, for your turn 1, you can use it into Synchro Summoning to go into Chao Feng, and then in turn 2 or turn 3, you can use its Synchro Summon effect just to return cards from your opponent's field into the deck. Very, very good. So when this card is Synchro Summon, you can target cards up on the field up to the number of different attributes of the worm monsters used for the Synchro Summon of this card. So if you use something like a Taya and the token, that's a win plus water, you can target 2 cards on the field and then just spin them back into the deck. And then once per turn, you can target 1 card you control and a level 4 or lower monster in the graveyard. Destroy the first target and then spell summon the level 4 and the level 4 from graveyard as well. It's very, very good. It has 2 really good effects. That's why I like playing Baxia at 2. A lot of people might just play it at 1, but I'm fine with playing it at 2. We're playing 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. It's the only Tenyi synchro monster in the game, and why we're playing it. Again, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can just straight up banish it, which is fine. If this attacking card is destroyed by an effect monster, if this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can activate its effect. This card gains the attack equal to that destroyed monster's original attack, and then it can make a second attack on a monster during the battle phase, which is very nice. You can get 2 attacks, gains attack as well. Very good just for OTK stuff and stuff like that, or just to clear out the board as well. Very, very good card to have in here. We're playing Adamant Predator Rising Dragite, which, because again, it's generic enough where you can pull it out with like Moye, and then have Moye in graveyard to activate its bottom effect, where you can quick effect negate a spell or trap card on the field, which is very nice. And then you can actually activate its top effect, because you do play Nibiru in the main deck. It's their only rock, but, might be worth it to just mill 5, hopefully, to see a Nibiru or something like that. So very, very nice card, just very generic. Same thing with a Shen as well. Again, we have the level modifications in the deck, the Emergence and the Summit, to pull out a Shen. That's very nice. You also have the level 1 tuner, so you can use like a Synchro 8 plus the level 1 Adhara to go into a Shen as well. Again, just everyone probably knows this effect by now. Any card sent to the graveyard is banished. Any card from the field to the graveyard is banished instead. Very, very good. And then we have Chao Feng Phantom, the Phantom of the Yang Zing. Very, very good card in this deck because it helps you play around Nibiru. This is basically what the Tenyis are here for. You summon a Tenyi, go into a Baxia, destroy the Link 1, and then summon out the level 1 tuner, and then head into a Chao Feng. And then Chao Feng effect is while this card is synchro summoned While the Synchro Summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot activate effects of the same original attributes as the Yang monsters used for its Synchro Summon. You used Baxia, which means light. Your opponent cannot activate light monsters when you pull out this card. It usually plays around Nibiru. Effect failure if you verse Drytron, and basically is pretty much game against that deck because they're all lights and stuff like that. And that's the only reason why you're basically playing this card, is for that reason. And then we're playing into the Synchro 10s now, Barony de Fleur. Again, very fucking good card. Very expensive card, but it is a very, very good card. It has the Omni Negate, has a once per turn target a card on field to destroy it, and then can help you do follow-ups during the standby. You can target level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard. Return this card to the extra deck to spell summon that card from your graveyard. Again, this is a very, very ridiculous card, but it is a expensive card at that as well. We're playing Ruddy Rose Dragon as well. Just again, it comes up where their graveyard set up. You want to pull this out and just banish everything from the graveyard so they don't have follow-up. That's the only reason why you're kind of playing this. You can also activate when your opponent activates a card or effect that would destroy a card. You can quick effect tribute this card, negate the activation, which is very, very good as well. But this is its top effect is usually what you're going into as well. Then we're playing the Synchro 10 Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Qiangying. I don't fucking know how to pronounce these names. Very good card. I was playing a locals in my city playing Swordsoul without Baroness de Fleur because we didn't have the money to buy that shit. But I was playing this card, and this card is still just a very good replacement for Baroness de Fleur because it has a multiple effect. So for each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and your opponent loses 100 attack. And with how much people banish today, you know, this card can get fucking ridiculously high. And then if this card would be destroyed by a card effect, you can just banish a card from your graveyard instead. It has a nice protection effect. And then if a card is banished by any way from your opponent field or my graveyard or opponent's graveyard, just if a card is banished by any way, you can declare this effect, banish one card from the field and your opponent's graveyard. Very good effect. That effect is just so ridiculous. It's a nice replacement for the Baroness. Baroness is an Omni Negate, but this gets you a banish on field and in graveyard kind of thing. It's a very, very good effect. But yeah, we're just playing one of right now because we are playing the Baroness de Fleur. Very, very, very good card. And then on to the Link monsters, we're playing 2 Monkey the Tennies, just as a generic Link 1 for the Tennies to get into the graveyard. And then 2 Shaman of the Ten, or just 1 Shaman of the Tenny, which is their Link 2, which can just help you get a Worm monster back from the graveyard into the field and just help you combo off. You can't activate any monsters special summon from the extra deck except Tenny monsters, which isn't that much of a problem if you're just going for a setup on an end board. Again, this is very much just a good card just to help you play through something like a Nibiru or something like that. Very, very, very good card. But that is it for the entire extra deck. Now let's get into the side deck. We're playing 1 Lancia, 1 Droll, or 3 Lancia, 3 Droll, 2 Token Collector, which is specifically just to verse this deck if you're versing the Mirror. We're playing 3 Dark Roller No More, 3 Twin Twisters, and a Harpy's Feather Duster. So yeah, that is it for the entire deck profile. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.